There is a difference between being alone and being unable to stand without people. One is solitude. The other is dependence. And in a world where everyone is desperate to belong, there is something almost frightening about a man who can stand alone. A man who can walk into a room without needing everyone to like him. A man who can leave a crowd without feeling empty. A man who can lose approval without losing himself. A man who can be misunderstood and still remain calm. A man who can hear, "You're different," and answer internally, "I was never created to become a copy of everyone else." This kind of man is difficult to manipulate. Because he doesn't need your approval. He doesn't need your invitation. He doesn't need your attention. He doesn't need to win every argument. And he certainly doesn't need to destroy his principles just to keep people around. But understand something. Islamic strength does not mean becoming antisocial. It does not mean hating people. It does not mean rejecting family. It does not mean refusing friendship. And it does not mean believing you are better than everyone else. That would not be strength. That would be arrogance. The deeper lesson is this. Love people without worshipping their approval. Stand with people without becoming dependent on them. Give people your loyalty without surrendering your principles. And when everyone walks away, still know how to stand. Because the man who cannot stand alone will eventually compromise himself just to avoid being alone. And that is where his weakness begins. The fear of being alone. Think about how many decisions people make because they are afraid of being alone. They stay in friendships that destroy their character. They remain around people who constantly disrespect them. They laugh at things they don't believe are funny. They agree with opinions they don't accept. They hide their values. They pretend to enjoy things they hate. They tolerate humiliation. Why? Because being alone feels worse. And this is one of the most dangerous forms of dependence. When loneliness becomes more frightening than losing your principles, you become easy to control. Someone can threaten to leave you, and you will obey. Someone can withdraw attention, and you will chase them. Someone can criticize you, and you will change yourself. Someone can reject you, and you will desperately try to become acceptable. Eventually, you are no longer living according to your values. You're living according to the possibility of abandonment. A person in that condition may have hundreds of friends, and still be profoundly alone. Because the real loneliness isn't having nobody around you. The real loneliness is being surrounded by people while being unable to be yourself. Standing alone doesn't mean living without people. Let's make one thing clear. Human beings need relationships. Family matters. Friendship matters. Community matters. Companionship matters. Islam does not teach a person to become a stone. You should care. You should help. You should forgive. You should support people. You should maintain bonds. But there is a difference between connection and dependence. Connection says, "I value you." Dependence says, "I cannot function without your approval." Connection says, "I love having you in my life." Dependence says, "If you leave, I don't know who I am." Connection says, "I respect your opinion." Dependence says, "I need your opinion to determine my worth." That difference can change your entire life. The goal isn't to need nobody. The goal is to stop needing people to fill a place that belongs to your relationship with Allah. People can accompany you. They cannot become your foundation. People can advise you. They cannot become the final judge of your worth. People can love you. But they cannot guarantee your future. And people can leave. Your responsibility before Allah remains. The man who doesn't chase. There is enormous power in not chasing what is not meant for you. Not every friendship needs to be saved. Not every person needs to be convinced. Not every door needs to be forced open. Not every invitation needs to be accepted. Not every rejection needs to become a personal crisis. Sometimes you need to let people go. Not because you hate them. Because you finally understand that peace cannot be built by constantly chasing someone who is walking away. Think about what happens when you stop chasing approval. Your conversations change. You stop trying to impress. Your clothes stop being a message. Your success stops being a performance. Your social media stops being a courtroom where you constantly prove that you're doing well. You begin to live. Quietly. Purposefully. And something strange happens. The less desperately you seek validation, the more naturally confident you become. Because confidence is not, everyone likes me. Confidence is, I can survive if they don't. Your principles will cost you people. This is a truth most motivational speakers won't tell you. Your principles will sometimes cost you relationships. If you decide to become disciplined, some people will call you boring. If you stop participating in harmful behavior, some people will say you've changed. If you refuse to gossip, some conversations will no longer include you. If you stop tolerating disrespect, some people will accuse you of becoming arrogant. If you become serious about your responsibilities, some people will say you've become distant. Let them talk. Growth often changes your social environment. And that's okay. You don't need to drag every person from your past into your future. Some people belong to a chapter. Not the entire book. The mistake is believing that losing people automatically means you're losing. Sometimes losing access to the wrong people is how you regain access to yourself. The most dangerous form of loneliness. There is a loneliness more dangerous than being physically alone. It is the loneliness of betraying yourself. You know what you believe, but you pretend otherwise. You know what is wrong, but you participate anyway. You know someone is harming your character, but you stay because you fear abandonment. You know a lifestyle is destroying your discipline, but you refuse to leave because your friends enjoy it. You know your environment is pulling you away from your purpose, but you remain because you don't want to start again. Then one day, you look at yourself and realize, I kept everyone, except myself. That is too expensive. No friendship is worth losing your principles. No relationship is worth destroying your character. No crowd is worth abandoning your conscience. Because once you repeatedly betray yourself for acceptance, you stop trusting yourself. And when a man cannot trust himself, he becomes weak even when surrounded by people. Islamic strength begins with inner anchoring. A Muslim's identity cannot be built entirely upon society. Society changes. Trends change. People change. Reputations change. Money changes. Status changes. But your responsibility toward Allah does not depend on whether the crowd approves. This creates an internal anchor. You can be successful without becoming arrogant. You can fail without becoming worthless. You can be praised without becoming addicted to praise. You can be criticized without collapsing. You can be alone without becoming desperate. Because your value is not created by the crowd. Your worth is not manufactured by applause. And your purpose is bigger than social approval. This is where Islamic spirituality and Stoic discipline can meet in a useful way. Control what belongs to you. Your intention. Your actions. Your character. Your response. Your effort. Your repentance. Your discipline. And leave the things outside your control where they belong. Other people's opinions. Other people's choices. Other people's approval. Other people's decisions. You don't need to control the world to control yourself. When everyone disagrees with you, imagine standing alone because everyone around you believes something different. This is where character gets tested. It is easy to have principles when everyone agrees with you. The real test comes when following your principles makes you unpopular. Can you still say no? Can you still walk away? Can you still remain respectful? Can you still refuse to participate? Can you still maintain your character when nobody is applauding? That is strength. But remember, standing alone does not automatically mean you're right. This is extremely important. A stubborn person can stand alone. An arrogant person can stand alone. A foolish person can stand alone. So don't romanticize isolation. Instead, combine courage with humility. Ask yourself, am I standing alone because I am principled? Or, am I standing alone because my ego refuses correction? There is a huge difference. A strong man can accept advice. A strong man can admit mistakes. A strong man can say, I was wrong. Standing alone does not mean refusing to learn. It means refusing to abandon truth simply because learning it makes you unpopular. Stop fearing rejection. Rejection feels powerful when you believe it defines you. But rejection is information. Someone doesn't want you in their life. Accept it. A job doesn't choose you. Learn from it. A business opportunity disappears. Adjust. Someone doesn't understand your vision. Keep working. A friend changes. Grieve if necessary, but continue. Not every closed door is an insult. Not every rejection is humiliation. Sometimes rejection is simply redirection. The weak mind asks, why don't they want me? The disciplined mind asks, what should I learn from this? That question changes everything. Because now you are no longer begging the world to validate you. You're using life to refine yourself. And that makes you dangerous in the best sense. Not dangerous to people. Dangerous to your former weaknesses. The man who can eat alone. Here is a simple test. Can you sit alone? Can you eat alone? Can you travel alone? Can you work alone? Can you spend an evening without constantly checking your phone? Can you sit in silence without needing stimulation? Can you go somewhere without photographing everything for approval? Can you have a thought without immediately posting it? If the answer is no, you may not be afraid of loneliness. You may be afraid of yourself. Because silence removes distractions. When everyone leaves, you meet your own thoughts. Your regrets. Your ambitions. Your fears. Your weaknesses. Your unfinished responsibilities. And many people run from this encounter. They turn on the screen. They open social media. They call someone. They search for entertainment. Anything to avoid being alone with their own mind. But solitude can become training. Use it. Sit quietly. Reflect. Review your day. Ask yourself where you lost control. Ask yourself where your ego won. Ask yourself where you could have been better. Then wake up tomorrow, and try again. That is how solitude becomes strength. Stop telling everyone your plans. A man who can stand alone doesn't need to announce every move. He builds quietly. He works quietly. He learns quietly. He improves quietly. Not because he is hiding. Because he understands that attention can become a distraction. When you tell everyone your plans, you invite everyone into your mind. One person doubts you. Another criticizes you. Another gives unsolicited advice. Another becomes jealous. Another tells you why it won't work. And suddenly, you are trying to satisfy people who aren't carrying the consequences of your decisions. Protect your focus. Not every dream needs an audience. Sometimes the strongest announcement is the result. Let them wonder what you were doing. Let them notice the difference later. There is no need to constantly prove that you're becoming stronger. Become stronger. That's enough. The crowd loves the version of you it can control. Think about this carefully. Some people love you, as long as you remain predictable. As long as you agree. As long as you tolerate everything. As long as you never establish boundaries. As long as you remain available. As long as you don't outgrow the group. Then the moment you change, they say, you've changed. Maybe you have. And perhaps that's the point. Growth should change you. You should become more disciplined. More thoughtful. More responsible. More patient. More selective. More courageous. You don't owe anyone permanent access to the old version of you. If your old identity was built around pleasing everyone, then becoming someone who can stand alone will feel uncomfortable. Good. Growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels natural. Don't turn independence into arrogance. Now comes the warning. Never say, "I don't need anyone." That statement sounds powerful. But it can hide arrogance. You need people in different ways. You need family. You need teachers. You need honest friends. You need community. You need people who will correct you when you're wrong. The goal isn't independence from humanity. The goal is independence from desperate approval. You can love people without being controlled by them. You can listen without obeying every opinion. You can accept criticism without surrendering your identity. You can cooperate without becoming dependent. You can be humble without becoming weak. That's the balance. Strong enough to stand alone. Wise enough to walk with others. The man who knows when to walk away. Sometimes staying is easier. Walking away requires courage. Leaving a toxic environment can be painful. Ending a destructive friendship can be painful. Changing your lifestyle can be painful. Starting over can be humiliating. But sometimes pain is the price of dignity. Ask yourself, what am I losing by staying? What is this environment turning me into? Who am I becoming around these people? Does this relationship bring out my best character? Does this friendship strengthen my discipline? Does this environment bring me closer to my purpose? Or am I simply afraid to be alone? That last question can expose everything. Because sometimes you don't stay because something is good. You stay because you're terrified of what comes after leaving. But remember, the unknown can be frightening. So can transformation. But fear is not always a signal to stay. Sometimes fear is standing at the entrance of a new chapter. When everyone leaves. One day, life may test you. People you trusted may disappoint you. Friends may disappear. Plans may collapse. Someone you expected to stay may walk away. And when that happens, you will discover what your foundation really was. If your foundation was people, you will collapse with them. If your foundation was status, you will collapse when status disappears. If your foundation was money, you will collapse when money becomes uncertain. If your foundation was applause, you will collapse when criticism arrives. But if your foundation was faith, character, responsibility, and disciplined action, you can bend without breaking. You can cry and continue. You can grieve and continue. You can lose and continue. You can begin again. That's strength. Strength isn't never being hurt. Strength is refusing to let pain decide who you become. Standing alone in the dark. There will be seasons when nobody understands what you're building. You may work without recognition. You may struggle without encouragement. You may make sacrifices nobody notices. You may walk a path your friends don't understand. Don't panic. Some of the most important growth happens where there is no audience. The seed grows underground. The roots develop in darkness. The foundation is built beneath the surface. And nobody applauds it. But when the structure finally rises, everyone sees the result. Don't confuse being unseen with being unsuccessful. You don't need constant evidence that you're progressing. Keep going. Keep improving. Keep correcting yourself. Keep returning to Allah. Keep doing what is right. Even when nobody notices. Especially when nobody notices. Your life does not need to look impressive. Social media has created a strange disease. People don't just want to live. They want their lives to look impressive. They want the perfect photograph. The perfect success story. The perfect body. The perfect relationship. The perfect lifestyle. But a life can look ordinary, and still be deeply meaningful. Waking up. Working honestly. Taking care of your family. Protecting your character. Avoiding unnecessary conflict. Learning. Worshipping sincerely. Helping someone. Sleeping with a clean conscience. That may not impress the internet. But it can build a powerful human being. Don't sacrifice a meaningful life for an impressive image. The final test of solitude. Here is the final test. Imagine that tomorrow, nobody applauds you. Nobody compliments you. Nobody notices your progress. Nobody likes your post. Nobody asks about your achievements. Nobody tells you that you're special. Would you still continue? Would you still work? Would you still pray? Would you still improve? Would you still be honest? Would you still keep your principles? If the answer is yes, then you're becoming free. Because now your motivation isn't entirely dependent on external validation. You are learning to do the right thing because it is right. Not because someone is watching. Not because someone will reward you. Not because someone will praise you. That is a different level of strength. Become a man you can trust. Ultimately, standing alone means becoming someone you can trust. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When you make a mistake, admit it. When you lose control, correct yourself. When you fall, get up. When someone leaves, don't destroy yourself chasing them. When someone criticizes you, extract the lesson. When someone praises you, remain humble. When nobody is watching, maintain your character. This creates something extremely powerful: self-respect. Not ego. Not arrogance. Self-respect. And self-respect changes the way you walk through the world. You stop begging. You stop chasing. You stop performing. You stop explaining everything. You stop fearing every rejection. You stop needing every person to understand you. You become quieter, calmer, more deliberate, more difficult to manipulate. The man who can stand alone. So remember this. The most powerful man is not the man surrounded by hundreds of people. It is not the man with the biggest house, the loudest voice, the highest status, or the most followers. The most powerful man is the one who can stand alone, without becoming bitter. He can be alone, without becoming desperate. He can be rejected, without becoming worthless. He can be criticized, without losing himself. He can be praised, without becoming arrogant. He can lose people, without losing his principles. He can walk away, without revenge. He can remain humble, without becoming weak. And he can walk with people, without becoming dependent on their approval. That is the balance. Because Islam does not ask you to become a man who needs nobody. It teaches you to become a man whose heart is not enslaved by people. Love them. Help them. Forgive them. Stand beside them. But never make the crowd your compass. Never make approval your religion. Never make loneliness so terrifying that you abandon your principles just to keep company. There will be moments when you must walk alone. Walk. There will be moments when nobody understands. Remain patient. There will be moments when people leave. Let them leave without destroying your character. There will be moments when your path becomes quiet. Use that silence to build. Because perhaps the greatest transformation of your life will happen when you stop asking, "Who will stay with me?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" That question changes everything. Because once you become a man who knows his purpose, a man who controls his ego, a man who protects his character, a man who can sit alone without feeling empty, a man who can lose approval without losing direction, you become extremely difficult to break. Not because you're made of stone. Because your foundation is no longer built on people. So stand. Even when nobody claps. Walk. Even when nobody follows. Build. Even when nobody notices. Remain principled. Even when compromise would be easier. And when the world becomes loud, return to silence. Return to reflection. Return to discipline. Return to Allah. Because the goal is not to become a man who needs no one. The goal is to become a man who cannot be controlled by the fear of losing everyone. That is freedom. That is strength. That is the ascent. Stoic ascent. Stand alone when you must. Walk with others when you can. But never abandon who you are just because someone refuses to walk beside you.